Hey Reeta, shall we high five?
Hi, love. Yo!
Yay.
Hey.
So this year's Power of Women Festival is themed around reclaim and reconnect. So me and Reeta are going to share some of our 5 top tips on how we reclaim and reconnect with our wonderful selves. Do you want to kick us off, Reeta?
But yeah, I think my first one is breath, which sounds so simple, but I think like we don't really think about our breathing very much. And when we're sort of, this has been such a heightened time of anxiety for so many of us. Like it feels like just coming back to the breath and coming back to the body is such an important tool that we don't really think about, like I said. So an exercise my mum taught me that I totally boo-booed at the time, but has turned out to be really, really amazing. Thanks, Mum. It's the Yogic Breath. And do you want me to show it to you?
Let's do a couple of breaths of this because I really need to do that today.
Okay, so left hand, and you basically want to, yes, exactly, those two fingers down. I'm clearly no yoga teacher, but basically you're going to cover one nostril and you're going to breathe in for like the count of 5, and then you're going to hold for like 3 seconds, and then you're going to breathe out the alternative nostril.
Got you.
And it just helps regulate the breath. So let's give it a go.
Okay.
It's so calming, isn't it?
I needed that so badly today. I've been really grumpy up until we've started this call. I love that one. I feel like I have the last couple of years I've been less connected to meditation. I used to have like a fairly full-on practice around it, and I've kind of like flowed away from that for a bit, and it will come back again, I'm sure. But for me, since moving to Margate and being by the seaside, like it's a classic Margate stereotype, I think. But you know what I'm going to say? It's chucking yourself in some cold water. Because genuinely, like it is, I think it truly is like the most embodied that I feel ever in my life. And especially right now when it's like really cold and quite grim outside and feels like something that should not make me feel good in myself or connected to the world around me, it is just the thing. And often it's kind of, for me, it's also, especially when it's cold, it's like pushing up against a boundary for me. And I find that quite exciting. It's like finding an edge and just shocking your body in something that's really freezing makes me feel very alive. So yeah, I had to get the stereotypical one out of the way first. So what about your second tip?
My second one is writing. And I feel like everyone should give this a go. But there's a practice which I've been doing for a really long time, since 2006, and it involves just writing every single morning 4 pages or 20 minutes, whichever comes first. And I literally have a notebook and pen next to my bed, like wherever I am. And first thing I do is I just write. And you write without judgment, and it's basically subconscious streaming. So you're using that almost dream state, and you're taking that straight to the page before you really sort of start to wake up and become conscious of your cognitive thoughts. And as a practice, it's really amazing because if you just do it for a couple of weeks, don't read it, just do it for a couple of weeks, I guarantee your mood will improve, because all of that peripheral noise that's going around our heads all the time, it's sort of really it's really dictating how we feel. And if we just get it out onto the page, we sort of release it, your mood will improve, you'll get rid of that noise. And for me, it really helps as an artist, because it helps me come up with songs and melodies, and I just feel much more connected to myself creatively.
Nice. I like that you said this one, because I've got one to like add on top of it, I guess, because this is something that I've been doing for the last couple of years. And actually I keep them, and I have looked back on them, and I think it's been really wonderful in order to kind of reflect on my growth. This started as a happy accident, but about 7 years ago, I was just having a really shit time, a really like horrible day. Yeah, really horrible day, really struggling, mental health all over the shop. And I just gave myself permission to write on an like A4 piece of paper all the things that I was really unhappy about at the moment, all the things I didn't like about myself, the things I was struggling with, the things that I've been putting off, rather than like holding all of them myself, just letting myself actually write them out. And then it was very instinctive, like without thinking about it, I just turned the page and I made myself write nice things. And I made myself like, initially it was really easy to fill the page of all the negatives, and it took like a long time to fill the page of positives, of things that I was grateful for or looking forward to or liked about myself, even if they were like really small. And it's something I've come back to over the years, because it's almost like a big spring clean of your mind, of like, right, come on, let's just get all of this out in one, and then we can look at it on the page, and it doesn't exist like just in our heads anymore.
So my third tip is meditation. And I think a lot of people get sort of put off by meditation because it sounds like this really kind of abstract thing, and like, what do you do though? How do you do it and stuff? And I think I really didn't sort of align with like silent meditation for probably like 15 years or something, or 20 years of meditating, have a chanting practice. And because I'm a storyteller and a singer, I really love sound and music. And so chanting practice works really well for me. So a lot of my work uses the voice in order to ground myself. And the chanting meditation practice is something that I do every day, and I chant a mantra. And there are lots of different mantras out there, and this one is called Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and it's a really beautiful Buddhist mantra that's ancient and precious, and there's something really calming about just chanting that over and over. And I find for me, it really helps bring me back into my body and my breath, and I enter a space of visualization, which helps me to really, I actually really focus on 3 key components. I'm going to go deep on this, if I may. I focus on courage, wisdom, and compassion as like 3 pillars of myself that I really want to connect with on a daily basis. And that also really helps center me and helps me sort of come from that place in my day-to-day life and interactions. And I chant and I focus on courage, and I sort of visualize myself as really courageous. And then when I know that I'm done with that, when I feel really courageous and strong, and then I feel like I can handle anything today, you know, and then I do the same thing with compassion. And I'm a naturally compassionate person. Like, I'm naturally quite empathetic and care for other people. And a friend of mine suggested that I meditate on compassion for myself, like maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. And I was like, whoa, what are you talking about? I don't know what that is. And so I started doing that. And then it's just led to the most incredible journey. It's been completely wild, where I've got to know myself and actually really, really deeply love myself in a way that I now know that I didn't before. And so it's so powerful, and it sort of gives me a different perspective on the way that I go about my day-to-day business, I guess. And wisdom's the other component, which I think is just it's just really innate. I actually think that we have all the answers ourselves, and sometimes I think that we forget that. And so just tapping into that knowing, that eternal knowing that we have, and allowing that to just come forward, and that kind of intuition, that kind of, you know, that feminine intuition almost, right? That sort of timeless wisdom that we have, that innate universal wisdom that we have is already in there. So we can be really guided by that. And often, like, I'm somebody that is so like, phone a friend, I'll definitely call a mate if something comes up. I'm like, what do I do about this? Even sometimes I'll flip a coin because I literally can't make a decision. And I've had to really learn to get a lot better. And it's still a work in progress, but I think I'm getting a lot better at listening to that intuition and that inner wisdom.
Intuition is so like, we're all born with it, and we're so encouraged to stop listening to it. So I definitely resonate with what you're saying, and like trying to get better friends with it and reconnect with it. So thank you for that one. The next one of these I love, and I love it because I did it quite recently, which is asking a friend, someone that you really love, to describe you back to you.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, because it's really easy to, we so often look at ourselves with the criticisms first and the nice stuff second. Like my last tip is a real good example of that. And yet I don't look at my friends like that. I look at them with like wild enthusiasm and love, and also acknowledge like the more complicated parts of themselves, or, you know, I'm not trying to shy away from them, but I wish that we could all see ourselves in the way that the people who love us can see us. So just trying to ask about that and like get a flavor of that, because the last time I did that with a couple of friends, I got the things I heard I wasn't really expecting. Like two of my mates, one of the first things that they said was that I was funny, and I never think of myself as someone who's funny. So, and it was like, oh wow, I didn't know that that's there. Thank you so much. And then yeah, I think we're often really wrapped up in our own heads, and to be able to get outside of that a little bit can be really joyful.
Yeah, I love that. That's so powerful, because I think it reminds me of like you know, the self-talk, like the voice that's in our head that is dominating our thoughts. So I feel like our friends, so I had this experience of becoming really conscious that the voice that I was using in my head, or that I heard in my head, that kind of dictated how I felt about myself and the world, wasn't my voice. It was actually really negative, and it was from somebody in my life, in my past, that had actually really been quite abusive. And I realized that I was being abusive to myself by that being the dominant voice in my head. And so I decided I wanted to hear a kind voice. And when I tried shifting the voice, I heard my friends' voices, and that was so lovely. And then I was like, but hang on, where's my voice in this? You know, and then it became an active sort of exercise to shift the voice that was in my head to my own voice, and for it to be kind. And one of the tools that I've learned to help with that is almost to speak to my child self, and almost be in that sort of loving manner that I would speak to a child, to my child, be the voice in my head. And I think sometimes when I think about my friends, like, that's such a powerful exercise to use, because if we were to, like, if I was to tell any of my friends like how I see them, like, I know it would have the same impact, because it's so true, isn't it? Like, our friends really love us, and they see parts of us that we just can't see so much of the time. Yeah, that could be like a really fun game to play, actually.
Yeah, and then it's lovely to reciprocate it as well. It's just, yeah, if you want to have like a nice wholesome gushy time, then go for it.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it.
What's your next one?
Singing. Singing is like something I've done forever, and it's a thing that probably brings me like the greatest joy, is just singing. And I think there's something about the voice and also acoustic instruments that I really love. And I went to a really musical primary school, so I was always surrounded by music, and we were all playing multiple instruments all the time, and it was the best. And then when I got older, and then I was in bands, and then as I got older, I sort of got really into music production, and I sort of went into this vortex of technology and electronics. And it was only about 4 years ago that I came back to my voice and guitar and that acoustic sound, because I think it had been missing in me, and I hadn't even realized like how much joy it brought me and how natural it was. And it was just the most fun. And since then, like I think I said when we spoke over the summer for TEDx and Pride, you know, I was saying that I'd spent a lot, you know, I'd spent a lot of this this period of time that we've been in really banging drums and playing guitar and being in a child play space, which has really involved just making noise and just being in the body again, you know, and grounding in the body. So yeah, singing and playing guitar and banging drums and just acoustic stuff, and not caring about how you sound either.
Yeah.
Like it's not about that. It's just about expression. And I think it's another thing that we can all do. You know, sometimes people say, oh, I'm not creative. Like we're all creative. That's what we are. We're creative energy. That's almost all we are. So I feel like we should allow ourselves that play and just make some noise.
I agree. My next one is about creativity as well. And it's sort of like finding, I feel really at peace with myself and really connected with myself when I can get into a flow state. And I can do that in a couple of different ways, but it's most of the time being on my own and doing something crafty with my hands, and something that is like repetitive, and I can kind of just like sink into and relish in that. So the thing that I've enjoyed doing the most over the last couple of years has been paper mache, and I just make loads of paper mache penises. I think I've got some ones behind me. Yes. Here's one I made earlier. There you go.
Oh, wow.
So this is like the paper mache. This is like I shaped them with like a different material, and then I'm gonna like paper mache them on top. I've got loads of them here. And if I'm just feeling really stuck and don't know what to do, I'm like, right, okay, let's get the penises out, couple of hours, let's just do this. And however I was feeling and whatever worries I was having, by the end of that time, I haven't necessarily shaken all of them off, but I've just been able to sit with them a little bit, and my perspective's changed. And I do penises because instead of vulvas, because penises are a lot easier as a shape to manage. And it's something that's like really creative, but also just like so silly. And it's seen me through all of the lockdowns. I've just made like wonky objects and things that delight me, and also making like, I'm not making them for anyone else, I'm just making them for me because I think they're silly and they make me laugh. So like creativity, flow and humor all in one.
I love this so much because, well, firstly, I mean, I haven't seen a penis for a very long time, but I don't remember like that. So I love the creativity that's gone into this. And I also love that there's something, you know, doing stuff with our hands, like, you know, just making stuff without any judgment, and not to be productive or not for commerce, and not for, you know, not to sell or do anything with it, literally just for the love of it, for the process of it, for the art of it, I think is so important. Like I think, yeah, it's been exactly the same for me with music and just having fun with it instead of it being, you know, work. Because I think so often like our art and our creativity becomes you know, associated with commerce, partly for survival, and then we sort of lose sight of time to just play, right?
Yeah. And if it's not your main job, then there's that voice in your head that's like, this could be a side hustle, quick, let's go, let's do this. And I've had to work really hard to be like, nope, that's not what this is just fun and silly, and maybe I'll give some to some friends. That's what it is.
Yeah, I love that. That's so great. You could do, oh no, there's me sort of commercializing it already. I was thinking you could do an installation and you know, no, I love that.
Thanks.
That's cool.
So we've come to your final tip. Let's hear it.
My final tip is, now even I'm surprised by this, like the others like are fairly constant for me, but this one is new. And I don't even know what to call it. I would call it, I'd call it crystal sex magic.
Hello.
I know, right? So who knew? I love crystals, and I think I think crystals are really a really powerful way to aid our healing. And a lot of my personal journey, particularly the last sort of 18 months, has been around really working with my chakras and chanting and breathing through my chakras, but also using crystals to do a lot of release work, trauma release work, right? And in particular, sexual trauma release work. And I, through the journey of this healing, last summer, I encountered this company called Chakrubs, and they're have you heard of them?
No, they sound great though.
They're a crystal sex toy company, right? And so I acquired one of their crystals, and the woman that runs it sent me this amazing book, which is I don't know if that's back to front, but it's basically crystal healing and sacred pleasure, and it's essentially it's a guide into sort of like tons and tons and tons of different crystals that can help you with your healing journey. And you know, different crystals are really great for different parts of your healing process and for different chakras, and a lot of them, particularly with sacral chakra healing work, and really connecting with that sexual energy, particularly after doing this kind of trauma release work, when we feel that we have experienced pain and we're releasing that, you know, how to re-engage with ourselves again sexually. And I think so many of us have experienced this, but we don't really know how we're supposed to heal our bodies actually. So I think there's a lot of work around you know, our feeling safe in our bodies again. And crystal work's been really amazing as part of many tools that I've used to have a really significant impact in terms of self-pleasure and learning to really connect with my body again. This book's been brilliant, and I won't show you the crystal because it's probably too X-rated for this, but it's pretty dope. I really recommend it, and the woman that sent it to me, she's incredible, and I really recommend it. Chakrubs and crystal healing, and it's something that, like, it feels really indulgent to kind of take time to luxuriate in the process of reconnecting with my body in a sexual way and feeling safe and just really exploring. I don't know why that feels like a luxury, because it really shouldn't, but for some reason it's felt like a luxury, and I don't know if that's just part of the healing journey that I've been on and the place that I'm at with it. But yeah, that's been really powerful, and I recommend kind of checking them out, because I think there are a lot of resources online and a lot of tools, but sometimes it's really hard to know what is endorsed or is safe to use or where to go. There's a lot of quackery. So I personally find that this has been really powerful and really helpful, and it's just actually utilizing the healing that's already in my body, actually the healing that's already in my energy sphere that I already have access to, and just really allowing you know, these amazing, you know, natural parts of the earth to guide me through that in many ways. So yeah, crystal sex magic is my last one.
Crystal sex magic, I'm so here for that. Thank you for sharing it. And yeah, it's so nice to find like your way of accessing that feels really connected to you. That's gorgeous to know, so thank you. I'm gonna end with, I think, my favorite one of all of these, and this can be combined with any of the things that I've already said, which is just being naked. It's not like this big grand dramatic thing. You don't need anything else to do it. Just take your clothes off sometimes, and it really makes me feel better and more connected to myself. And I find this time of the year particularly hard, because it's been cold enough for long enough that I feel I've been just wrapped up in jumpers for months, and I have sort of forgotten what's underneath all these layers of clothes and feel less connected to my body, which for me is like a massive part of feeling connected to myself as a whole. So yeah, whenever I can brave it in the winter, like whack the heating up a bit and be naked, if it's like me going for a swim early in the morning and like whipping my swimming costume off and running in the sea nudie, if it's doing creative things or journaling and just being able to be like having my nude body as a companion doing all of those things, I just love it. And anyone who knows me knows that I like being naked. I make it quite a big part of my job. And I feel really passionately about how we can connect with our bodies more, because we are taught from a very early age that our bodies, there's a lot of shame and fear attached to them, and the best thing to do is just cover them up. And clothes are fab and can be really fun, but I just think what's underneath them is the most exciting thing, and care a lot about the ways that we can feel at home in our bodies.
That's amazing. I too love to be naked, and everyone that knows me knows that I love to be naked. In fact, I'm usually naked just with socks on, because I get
Socks don't count.
Socks don't count. So that's a vibe. That's how we roll, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's so important. I love clothes too, but I think most of the time I just prefer to be naked, and I will be naked in the sun ideally as much as possible this year.
Roll on the sunshine. So I think that's all of our tips, and these have been wonderful. Thank you, Reeta, so much for joining me, and thank you everybody for watching. We hope that these little tips have been fun and might inspire you to do some happy, joyful connecting with yourself. And we just want to wish you all a very happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day.
Shall we end with a little high five, Reeta?
Let's.
Yay!
Woo! Come be the remedy, don't be the enemy. They say the past is the past, but only if you change or the future won't last, no? Sorry, I'm so out of tune. Ain't it fun though? Come be the remedy, don't be the enemy. They say the past is the past, but only if you change or the future won't last, no? No.
Yay!